Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hold on to the edge of your seat or hold on to the person next to you with your fingernails because Agnes Vivarelli, there she is, ladies and gentlemen. We are here together today. It is time to do, again, another session. It's been so long. It's been so long.
I know. I've missed you.
I missed you too. God, goodness gracious. So, yes, it's in fact, it's kind of funny for those of you that don't get to experience all the off-camera and off-mic time that Agnes and I do. We had a wonderful discussion. But what we're going to talk about today with everybody, which I think is the important part, Ianla Vuzahnt. I think I said that right.
Perfect.
And Joseph Murphy both have cool little quotes that we wanted to share with you, get a little bit of a discussion going, and see where we can take this conversation. But it's just so good to be back together. Agnes, what's going on?
I
What do you
know.
got? How's life? Everything good?
Everything's good. Everything's good in London and heading back to Sydney earlier than expected. I'm only going to be here a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My mum has to move, so I'm going to help her.
Is she moving to England?
No, just moving to the same town, another place. So,
Gotcha.
But, I was supposed to be here for 2.5 months, and I'm only going to be here for 1 month.
Well, that's what happens when you keep your mom in a whole other country, right? Every once in a while, you got to go there and visit again.
All good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's going on with this Ianla Vuzahnt?
Ianla. Now, for people that haven't seen Ianla's book, it's called In the Meantime, Finding Yourself and the Love You Want.
Oh, that sounds
interesting
like fun.
book.
Does it tell you any cool
I
places
forgot
to
I
look?
even
Lift stones up. No, there's no love there. No, God golly, where's it at?
It's that guy's hanging onto it in the picture.
Oh,
next
hey,
to
there it is. He's got some love in his fingers. Wow, that's what you do when you do that.
Yeah, so I forgot I even had this book,
Yeah.
and I found 2 little things of interest.
Sweet.
So I thought I would read it out.
Let's take it one at a time if we can. I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this.
It is time. You've been putting it off long enough. Things are piling up and you can't find what you're looking for. With regards to relationships, this means you cannot figure out what went on, what's going on, or what to do about any of it. There's a foul odor, the origins of which you do not know. You have become aware that there are some little holes in the walls of your life. Termites, perhaps. Something eating away at the very core of the structure, your structure, which is your life and affairs. As you scan the space your life occupies, things look pretty dusty. Your mind is cluttered, congested, and you need some breathing space. You have come to the realization that you simply must clean out the corners of your mind. Dust under the bedrock of your heart, rearrange your beliefs, your ideas, your perceptions, which, like the dresser drawers, contain all the goodies you have accumulated. It is time to air out every room so that you can take a deep breath and not choke. It's spring cleaning time.
Love it. That's some awesome language she uses. Very
I know. It's really visual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
You
very
can see it. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
Well, I love it. So it feels like, mental diet kind of pops into play when you're talking about the termites. I kind of feel like that was the sort of the mental image that came with that, right? Like eating holes in our dreams, if you will, or the very foundation of the buildings that we hold near and dear, our structures or our desires. So I felt that was kind of a cool little call in there. The clean your closets or concept from the standpoint of like a house and what it represents to us or our place of living. It's funny is usually the closets are usually that back room that we've got all that stuff and junk in, much like our subconscious. It's where we shove all that crap we really don't need anymore. And that crap, in most cases, is like this anchor to the past, I've kind of called it. I feel like sometimes when we're holding on to the things from the past that we don't need to anymore, it's like we're chucking an anchor back behind us, and every time we're trying to move forward, it keeps tugging us back. We're like, what the fuck? Right? So that's kind of, I guess, what it felt like to me. And changing beliefs, they always talk about, and I've been talking a lot about this on my channel, but obviously Goddard and Joseph Murphy as well. But changing inside to change the outside, right? Like if you want something to change in your outer world, you have to change your inner world, your beliefs.
Exactly.
Now the question it brought up, and I would love to kind of get you to speak on this a bit at the moment, but a lot of us get beliefs that are maybe a little out of a little wishy-washy, a little out of sync with what we're really consciously trying to do.
Yeah.
It's one thing to identify it, I guess, but it's another then to what? Like, what do you suggest when someone does identify a belief maybe they hold that's an old one, that maybe it's something they picked up from their parents, rich people are horrible or whatever. What are some of the ways that you would suggest maybe trying to alter that?
Well, I think firstly it's being aware of it. Like, okay, I have got the belief, like you said, about rich people, or the big one I see is I'm not good enough in some way, or no matter what I do, it's not good enough. So you go, okay, well,
kind of
good enough to who?
Yeah,
good enough to who? Firstly, you got to question the belief. Good enough to who or for who? And usually it's, the tentacle goes all the way back to somebody in childhood. And then you go, okay, hang on. I'm interpreting this still like I did when I was young. So let me actually go, okay, can I interpret this in a different way? And then you rewrite it. So you go through saying, I am, okay, I am. Do your I ams. And you practice your I ams. I am good enough. I am, whatever it is that you need to change, you flip it into the mirror image, you practice it.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, though, with you hit it, you process it from the same place you did back when you were a child. And that's why I think a lot of times we have these repeating moments in our lives we're staying in that old consciousness. We're staying in that part of us, that part of us that's like trying so hard to protect us. Like, I don't want to let that happen again. But it's that actual behavior that's causing it to continue to happen. You've got to come at it from a different angle. Like, you learn lessons. You're not going to do things again. Let's come at this from a different place. Like, now I've learned more. I'm wiser. And now here's what I would like. Universe, source, God, higher, whatever the hell, right? Here's what I'm going to create. I want this better relationship in my life, or better job in my life, or more money in my life. Like, here's what I would like to do. And I think we allow ourselves to do it from a new perspective when we can ditch that old way of thinking, if you will, that old belief. And I agree. I love, and I even did a video recently, and I think it's one of the best ways to reprogram, if you will, when you've got those crazy beliefs. But repetition, even, that's kind of why music's the way it is. Anybody that listens to anything that's at least pop, for Christ's sake, pop is like stupid how it's like the same 5 words right throughout the entire song. You're just like, So you learn that little phrase. But outside of that, so it's a great way to kind of reprogram something into yourself. I love it.
Definitely. And remembering to say to yourself, my childhood doesn't have to be my present, but I have to be aware of the childhood effect on my present, and then make a decision to take the other split in the fork in the road. So you got to be conscious of what you're doing negatively to then flip it and change it into something else.
You got to see yourself doing it, right? Like, and I really feel like that's the first thing, is like, and that was how you started off, is the second you finally see it. Like, a lot of people are like, then what? And it's like, well, let's not undersell how incredibly important it is to see it. Like, most of the time you don't see it. You just say it. Oh, I hate rich people. Rich people say it. It's probably a rich person. Like, we say all these comments every day and we don't even catch ourselves once. The second you finally do, rejoice, good job, yay, that's actually a lot cooler and a lot more towards healing than most people realize. So I agree. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good. And just that thing of, I remember when I used to feel not good enough. Doesn't really happen much these days, but I had like, okay, I'm feeling not good enough. And then the thought came in, like, for who? Like, who's standing there as the judge and jury? You are.
Yeah.
So let's get off the judge robe and step into something else. But you didn't, like, it's all of a sudden you have that moment of, oh my God, I'm judging my own self.
And I'm basing it
but
off
I'm not good enough. They're not doing it to me.
Exactly. No one's pushing this on you or any of that. So,
So you have that moment of saying, oh my God, I'm doing this to me. Wow. Bing. I don't want to do the I'm not good enough anymore. I'm sick of it. I'm bored with it. It's like, good enough for who cares? They're not more important than me, whoever I think they are. And then you kind of just dismantle it. Like Shelley Lefkoe said, that you can change beliefs, but you got to look at it. You can interpret it in a different way. So you look at it and go, good enough for who? Oh my God, I'm judging myself. What could be another way for me to look at this? And you basically pull away as the observer and then look at, okay, I don't want to be doing that anymore. Let me do it in a different way. Let me choose another interpretation. So you shift into another interpretation. And then you basically, that whole thing just kind of dismantles itself because you're not interpreting it in the same way.
I think one of the examples I've been using a lot lately is the subconscious mind and getting it in line with the conscious, or even vice versa. It doesn't really matter. But ultimately, like you said, it's like when the conscious mind is thinking about, Judy and I are just having such a hard time. Like we're just wandering down this thought path about how a friend of ours are not getting along. And it's like, whoa, stop. No, everything's good. I'm getting my friends. Like we are getting back. Things are starting to work out. Like you start to get yourself in that more conscious, positive, revisioned thought process.
Yeah.
And when you do that, your subconscious is like, oh, okay, so is that what you want us to do, rather than create this other adverse situation you were just thinking about? And it really is. It's that getting my conscious focus back where it needs to, so the subconscious will run out and manifest things that support our desire, rather than manifest all these physical things that we then later judge, right? Because aren't we typically judging the result of what's already happened inside ourselves?
Yeah.
We're upset with the way things are right now. It's like, change that. Duh. Like we just changed it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And Dan, I think that's the thing. I mean, we talk a lot about, revision, which comes from Neville Goddard, but you don't have to revise if you didn't create it in the first place. So pre-paving is much easier and you got a lot less mess to clean up.
That's a good analogy too. Like if you're going to build a road, right? Like lay it out, clear it out, do it proper, then lay down the asphalt.
Yeah.
But don't just have a bumpy, don't not go over it with that rolling thing, right? That flattens it all. You're just going to have a crap road afterwards. It's just going to be all bumpy as hell. And you're right. And again, bumpy roads work. You can still get there, but just understand that when the bumps happen, don't be like, frick, I'm never going to get there because this road's so bumpy. It's like, no, you will. You just got to drive slower. That's all.
Yeah.
You're going to get there, but if you can pre-pave it a little better.
Over time, you pre-pave more and you revise less.
I think that's, we've talked about it with, who was it? Louis Hayes. She got to about 80% or whatever the hell. But that's kind of what I think she's talking about is like, 80% of the time I was pretty much paving ahead, and 20% of the time I'd jack it up, right? Like, but that's good, and that's all of us are working towards that ratio and trying to. I mean, if we were doing it 100% of the time, it'd be, you and I would be. I don't know who the super billionaires right now. We'd be one of them right now, being like, all right, I'm doing YouTube videos just because people want to know how I found my billions of dollars. But I don't know, maybe I'm busy ruling the world or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I'm actually a billionaire. And I don't even know if I'm cool with being a multimillionaire, by the way, frankly, folks. I'm humble. That's cool. Live within my means. So what was the second quote? What do you got?
Okay, second quote from the same chapter in Spring Cleaning says,
Great concept.
A total house cleaning is a pretty tall order, but it is something we all have to do. As we are all aware, the longer you avoid doing it, the more pressing the need becomes. We are talking here about getting rid of the dust bunnies in the crevices of your brain. These are the old hurts and pains you have accumulated. We are referring to the removal of the mold and fungus that has become lodged in your heart. This refers to the people with whom you are still angry after all these years. Let us not forget the need to throw out the old, those things you did in all of your yesterdays and those with whom you did it. Yes, you are referring to those things you are still beating yourself up about and allowing others to beat you up about. The purpose of this cleaning is to learn to appreciate what you have and to make space for something new.
I love that. Like
that's Ianla. I just realized she's on the back.
Is she? Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, she's on the back of the book. So, yeah.
I love that cover. It's got a lot of
I know,
warmth.
it's fun, hey?
A lot of warmth. Yeah, a lot of warmth, and granted there's a sun, so I know it's not literally warm, but it feels warm though.
I love books. I still love books, physical books, not e-books.
Brand new one, especially one that's never been opened, and you're like, right when you peel it apart for its first little go. I love it. All right, maybe the books don't make that noise, but they should. That would be rad, right? The first time you exactly.
Like an old unoiled door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's so cool. In fact, I love messing with people when they're doing it. And I had a friend that used to do all the little digital readers or whatever those things are called, Amazon, whatever that. And when she would read a normal book, I'm like, do you need help turning the pages? Let me know if you need a training session on how to turn a physical page. I still think it's funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, one of the things that you brought up, I need to versus I am doing this is one of the things that it made me think of, like, and I've shared this before, but like, for an example, the gym for me, I try to live healthily, right? I try to eat healthy. I try to have healthy thoughts, and I try to go to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week. And what I have found is when I get maybe behind on those schedules, I'll say things like, I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. I need to go to the gym. And guess what keeps happening when I say that? I never end up at the frickin' gym. I'll tell you that. What I do end up doing is noticing a bit later how I still haven't gone and still feel guilty about it, to your point, and then still feel like I need to do it. And what I've found is when I change my phraseology from I need to do this to I'm going to the gym today. I am going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym.
Yep.
Then guess what? I end up at the gym.
Yep.
It's a big difference. And it seems silly, but it's what I think, again, I'm so stuck on subconscious right now. It's just because of the crap I've been reading, but it's just such a thing about getting your whole self in alignment with what you're trying to do and stop sabotaging yourself with these little weird beliefs that go unnoticed. And sometimes the easiest way to notice that something's not quite right inside is when you look at the outside and you see something you don't like. Then there's something inside that you probably still need to work on, period. It's the easiest way to come at it. You can change yourself. You can't change others. You want to change the world. You got to change yourself. As within, so without. There are so many different adages around that concept that I'm pretty sure there's truth to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that's really, really important. And by the way, mold and fungus.
I know.
She knows how to sell it, right? Like I was just like,
I know.
Right? Like, oh, delicious. Let me have some of that. Can I have a second slice, please? That sounds lovely. But yes, holding on to the past, I think, is one of the things that many of us do. And it's one of those places where I think some of our old beliefs come from. And just to give people hope and credit, please understand that noticing it is extremely powerful. I do not want that to get lost in the shuffle. I don't want to undersell that at all. Like that is super important when you start to see these little past things come up as cycles. Like, why does this keep happening? Look at what's going on inside yourself. There's something that keeps surfacing because there's something inside of yourself that you keep alive. And I think letting go of the past, letting go of what we've made mistakes of, and learning from wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't know if that sparks any additional thoughts out of you.
No, I don't have any thoughts right at the moment.
Who has thoughts? Thoughts are pointless. I love it. All right, let me go ahead and let me do my one little Joseph Murphy thing.
Joseph, I
dig Joseph, and again, this is power of the subconscious.
I love
mind,
him too.
So wonder why I've been speaking so much about the subconscious. This might be
Joseph.
Part of it. He's awesome. Now, is he really a doctor, by the way? I don't think so, right?
Dr. Joseph Murphy.
That's what everyone calls him, but is it like a self-proclaimed doctor, or was he an actual doctor?
I don't know. It's a good question.
When he walked into the rooms, did people go, doctor, doctor, doctor? Did they? I don't know. I wonder. So anyway, one of the things that he's been talking a lot about is the way that we accept people's suggestions about whether we can accomplish things or not. Like, who can do that? That'll never happen. No one ever succeeds. You can't make money following your dreams, blah, 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 right? No, she doesn't love you, blah, 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 whatever your thing is. So he talks about how we can undo those experiences that we get, because sometimes you've just got that friend, right? That negative friend that you probably shouldn't talk to as much as you do, but whatever. How do we counteract the fact that my boss or my friends or whoever the heck, my mom, my dad, always says these horrible things? So pick up the paper any day, and you can read dozens of items that could sow the seeds of futility, fear, worry, anxiety, and impending doom. If accepted by you, these thoughts of fear could cause you to lose the will for life. Knowing that you can reject all these negative suggestions by giving your subconscious minds constructive auto-suggestions, you counteract all these destructive ideas. Check regularly on the negative suggestions that people make to you. You do not have to be influenced by destructive heterosuggestions. All of us have suffered from it in our childhood and in our teens. If you look back, you can easily recall how parents, friends, relatives, teachers, and associates contributed in a campaign of negative suggestions. Study the things said to you, and you will discover much of it was a form of propaganda. The purpose of much of what was said was to control you or instill fear in you. The heterosuggestions process goes on in every home, office, factory, and club. You will find that many of these suggestions are for the purpose of making you think, feel, and act as others want you to, and in ways that are to their advantage. I always feel like I should say, this is according to the word of Joseph. Like, I don't know. Thanks be to Joseph.
Murphy, yeah. I do love
church.
him.
But yeah, the idea that people do suggest things to us, that they are going to say things that are negative, that ultimately we've got to be able to walk those waters in life. That's going to be a part, especially if we're going to talk to people and all those kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was working in a particular job, I was employed by a really lovely woman who became my friend. Her mother was the one doing the behind the scenes, the accounting and the financial stuff. And I remember we were talking one day and her mum said to me, I can't remember what I said to her, but I remember distinctly what she said to me. She said, "Oh, Agnes, you'll always be a good employee, but you won't ever make it as your own boss." Yeah. So she was basically...
Yeah, she was putting you down.
She was she was condescending at the time. Anyway, I was really angry and I, didn't say anything at the time because I thought, this is my friend's mum. I can't say anything and I'm working for these people. Now, I think about 17 years have gone by and I saw my friend again after, quite a long, after probably about 15, 17 years or something. And I said to her, because she asked me, "Where are you up?"
Still suck?
Well, it was funny because I never told her at the time.
Yeah.
And because I was mortified first, and also I was still working for them, and I just thought, I can't even tell you what your mum said. It's so annoying. And it really hit me in the "I'm not good enough" button. Is what it did.
More than once, too, right?
More,
that was and you played it back
me.
and played it back and played it, and you're like, oh, yeah. Something like that'll that can crush someone, man. Yeah.
I think the word would be it punched me in that button more than just poked me in it.
Amen.
And so when I had lunch with my friend and we were talking about what I'm doing now, and I was telling her where I'm up to with my business and YouTubing, all this stuff. And I said, I recall this comment and a conversation I had with your mum, and she was mortified. And I said to her, "Can you go back and tell your mum, please, how wrong she was?"
Yeah, right. Like,
I said, she says, "I'm so embarrassed that my mum said," I said, "Look, it's not you, don't worry." But I said, "Can you just go back and tell your mother?" And she said, "I'll be telling my mother," So it was so funny because, my friend is not responsible for what her mother says. But she said, "Don't worry." She said things like that to lots of people. And she says she's upset a lot of people. I said, "Yeah, I was upset for quite a long time about that because I already felt like a complete loser at the time."
It's like, don't make her the one that answers the suicide hotline phone, right? Like that's probably not going to help anybody.
Yeah.
It's really weird. There's been a rash of suicides lately. It's like, I wonder why.
I wonder why.
Mrs. Happy Pants keeps answering the phone.
Oh, gee, like those comments. But the thing was, she was just reflecting. If you look at everyone's me pushed out, she was reflecting back to me the fact that I actually didn't feel, I was weak in my belief to be able to set something up for myself. I'd been an employee for a long time and I had the employee hat on, and the thought to branch out and do my own thing was so far from where I had come from mentally and emotionally. But it was like the anger of that actually made me rise up and go, "I'll show you."
And I look back on some of those things, and there's two ways to look at these suggestions too. Obviously, there's bad ones like her, and there's ones that cripple us, right? Because we believe what others say, which is, I think you and I would both advise to people, hey, look, you got to self-love. If someone doesn't like you, who cares? Who cares what someone else thinks? You need to love yourself before anyone else is ever going to. But that also being said, is sometimes you get that negative thing, and it's like, well, I'll show you. And so it can be that very empowering thing. But now, what about the good side, though? I can think of one thing that my mom told me when I was super young. Yeah. And because of that, I honestly think is why I'm where I am today and to a large extent. And I'll say what it was, but I had croup when I was very young, and I had an extremely high temperature, and there was a night where there was a lot of question whether I was going to survive. And my mom always told me, she said, you know what, you survived that, and so you're meant to be here, and you're meant to make a difference in this world. Now, I think it's just one of those things moms say to their kids, like, because they love them, and they just say stupid stuff that, you know, that makes the kid happy and smile. They're like, thanks, Mommy. But I actually believed it. Like I was getting like the word according to John or something, like, right? like I was like serious. And I went the whole life like realizing like I almost died, and I'm here for something special, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it kind of led me to try to be somebody good, right? And
wow.
So maybe,
do you ever tell your mom about that?
She's passed now, but yes, she did pass away. It was a year ago in January, so it's kind of new, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
and did you get to tell her that how much that you told her about that? That's brilliant, Dan.
My mom was cool. Me and her, she's where I get a lot of the weird spiritual stuff. Like, I love my dad. He's an amazing man. He's who raised me. Like, he went out of his way to give me the best life he could, but he was like not like this spiritual stuff, even though he's a very sensitive, emotional man, which is cool. I was lucky to have that as a role model, but he's in a lame sense of humor. I wonder where I got that from. But he wasn't the spiritual, like, at all. Like, he wasn't that weird side. So I was lucky. To have that.
Wow, what an amazing she planted is like in that movie Inception, which went into a negative inception, but your mom did an inception, planted a seed that grew. What a brilliant
I mean, so I wonder if a lot of us, if we can ever go back and think of any, and as a good, I mean, it's a good exercise because it forces us to think of good things. But, I mean, a lot of the times, sometimes people say things that are like, you can do this, and understand that there is positive forms. And certainly one way to get more positive from the universe is to give more positive as an individual. So maybe that's one of the things that we can sometimes do too, is to make a point to acknowledge the good in others as often as possible. Because you don't know what difference, one, you're going to make in their lives, but two, what you send out is what you get back. What you're being is what you receive. So there's a lot of benefit to doing that kind of behavior to benefit other people, because it majorly comes back in a great way to help you.
Yeah. So. Wow, that's a nice one. I like you shared that one. Oh. That's really lovely. So it's good. We got one negative, one positive, so you can see both.
Yeah. And the negative ones suck. So when they happen, obviously, you've got to realize that whatever other people think, I honestly, you've got to understand that what you think is most important, period. Even if everyone around you says you're no good. I had that with radio, like the getting the good job at the big station. The guy I was working for at one of the smaller FM stations I worked at said, "Really, no, you can like get back into the studio and do the crap shift that I've got you working." And when I finally got to quit that place and tell him, I got a job at IMZ, and he's like, "The AM?" And I'm like, "No, the FM." And he's like, "The FM?" That was the moment. Like when he said the FM, yeah, mofo.
Mofo.
Oh. Yeah, and you know what I mean. Shizzle. So it was like we've all had those moments in life.
It's a great moment.
Yeah, and that's you experienced as well. Like that mom. It's like, you're never going to amount to anything. It's like, wow, ouch, not nice. You suck. Yeah. You're not going to amount to anything.
But she said it in such a way, I didn't actually feel the slap straight away. She says,
nice.
You'll always make a really good employee. So it looked like a compliment.
Yeah, you're always going to suck in a kind of nice way.
Yeah. It's so fun. It's so good that when you can laugh at it later, because you've actually dismantled it through result. You know,
true.
Result dismantles it because you've proved to yourself that that's not true. It doesn't matter what they think. It's the fact that you've broken through it on your own.
And that really is just a great example of how a lot of us do. We just have these little weird things. And again, I hate to kick this dead horse so much, but understanding that when you see it happen, that's like at least half of the battle, people. Like seriously, be stoked when it happens. You are well on your way to making this go away. Like that is a big, big, big step to see yourself do it and to understand what that causation was. Then just give it some love, man. Give it a hug. Be like, oh my God, I don't need this anymore. I don't need to believe this anymore. Don't need to judge it this way anymore. I think to kind of use that author that you've been talking about, right? Like, who's judging myself but me, right? And I need to judge myself in a more positive way, or else who's going to. I think it
Yeah.
just gets back to that self-love and self-worth, and I think you
Yeah.
and I are definitely on board there.
Yeah.
This was so fun. I'm glad we did this.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That was a nice little, just talking about two different things we haven't probably talked about before.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Hopefully,
I think
hopefully good for people that were listening. That's for sure.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
love it.
And well, the thing is too, Dan, I said to people, you know, in 2020, is there anybody that you would like me to interview? And that like quite a few said, Dan,
No
what's
way.
happened to Dan? I was
I
like,
know.
oh God, Dan, because it's like I had you on my mind, but I just hadn't emailed you yet.
Yeah,
And
we've
then
just
it was
been
like,
busy. Yeah, you've had it what's going on with Australia, and we don't need to regurgitate all the perfect stuff that's happened out there. But yeah, and I've just been super busy too. And again, it was just I was missing you. I'd brought you up on 2 or 3 different videos. I was talking about you actually this morning. I'm like, I'm going to be hooking up with Agnes, and I was doing a live, and so it was fun to. It's just so fun to be back with you again. So yeah, we'll get back more. We'll give the people. We got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, and we'll get into sync once a month again.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Love it. Awesome. Well, Agnes, thank you so much, and we'll do this again soon. I hope everybody enjoyed. Love you all.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. See you. You know where, as per usual.
Same bad time, same bad channel.